Today I'm going to talk about how to make friends in college. I'll discuss different clubs and activities offered around campuses, as well as how to use the city itself to make friends. At the end of it all, I'll discuss an interesting paper only recently published that discusses the way COVID lockdowns have prematurely aged teenage brains and disrupted the friendship-making process. So, to start this off, I'm going to jump into this with the most important strategy for making friends. It's not specific to college students. Anyone can use this advice. It's best when used in conjunction with the other strategies. In fact, this strategy will serve you well for your whole life. So pay attention now so that when you're 26 or 35 or 62 and moving to a new city, you'll be prepared. Before that, I want to talk about why should you spend so much focus on making friends in college? Some students might want to make friends in college just to live up to media expectations. College is supposed to be where you make new lifelong friends, finally get a chance to enjoy some parties, and maybe experience a little debauchery. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have fun in college and experience it the way media has portrayed it. After all, you're paying all that money, so you might as well get what you want out of it. Other students may want to make friends because they're lonely, or maybe they perform better in academics when they have someone to consistently study with or knock ideas back and forth. Studies do show that having a community while you're in school, be it friends or family, online strangers that you met that all have something in common, it all increases academic performance of students. A lot of students want to make friends in college because they were robbed of their chance to make friends in high school or middle school, and this is especially true because COVID lockdowns happen and have impacted friendships dramatically for teenagers and young adults. Whatever your reasons are, this is a great time to make friends. So let's get into a few ways around campus that you can find your community. The most important rule for making friends. To make friends, you need to consistently patronize the same places so that you become a regular. And most importantly, you need to be open to conversation. Because of the pandemic, a lot of young adults and teens were stunted during an important social development part of their lives. I'll touch on this a bit more when I get into the paper review. But for now, know that it has resulted in younger adults especially being terrified of approaching strangers or of being approached by strangers. It makes sense when you think about the fact for 2 years, during crucial brain development, we were locked away and social distancing. So to make friends, you need to develop your way past this. The only way that happens is with practice. You have to practice talking to strangers. You have to practice being around strangers and being approached by strangers. You need to pick a cafe or a gym or a local board game group or dance night, and you need to go consistently. Even if you're shy and too nervous to approach people at first, you will inevitably become more comfortable with the other regulars, the staff, and the venue. It will feel comfortable going to these places, and you'll start to feel at home. Pick an activity you like and do it, out in the world. That's how you make friends. And don't be afraid to chat once you're comfortable in your space. With that, let's get into some campus-specific places that you can find friends that you know you will have something in common with. First is student clubs and student organizations. Student orgs are made and run by students. You can find a list of your student organizations by just looking up the name of your college and student orgs. Sometimes they're also called RSOs, and that stands for Registered Student Organization. Sometimes there will be a faculty advisor for RSOs, and sometimes they will be entirely student-controlled. Some RSOs even count for class credit. Mock trial student orgs often have a course component, for example. These are great because you can explore an area of study you're interested in and meet other students who feel the same way. It's a great way to find a built-in community full of students that want to help each other out. Student orgs usually have a campus-wide recruitment event at the beginning of each semester. These are called quad day, or maybe involvement fairs or community fairs. The one for the fall semester is usually held right before classes start, so it can be very easy to miss, especially for freshmen. The spring semester one is usually held in the first couple of weeks class start at the very beginning of that spring semester, and it's often a little smaller than the fall semester. Either spring or fall semester fairs are a great opportunity to see most active student orgs. And it's cool seeing all the different clubs your university has at once. A lot of the time, there will be free food and games at these events too, so I definitely recommend checking them out just for that. There are all kinds of RSOs, and I'm sure you can find one on your campus that matches your interest. For example, One of my alma maters has over 800 registered student organizations. Here's a couple that were just at Quad Day so you have an idea of what's out there. Airsoft League, Outdoor Adventure Club, Anime Club, Skydiving Club, Pole and Velocity Dance, Taiwan Leopard Sports Association, Video Game Music Club, Early Career Researchers Association, Queer Library Alliance, Sky Meditation, Pizza FM. Student orgs are vast and encompassing, and a fantastic way of finding people to hang out with that are there to make friends and that you already have something in common with. Plus, if you can't find whatever niche you're looking for, you can make your own student org pretty easily. So the clubs are always growing. And best of all, they're free, so don't miss out on taking advantage of everything your school has to offer, especially because tuition always seems to be rising. Greek life, like Phi Alpha Delta, for example, is also a type of student org, but they're in their own separate category. Something to know about Greek life is that they are service-based by default. Greek life is not necessarily the party culture you've seen in movies. They're required to do certain amounts of volunteering and fundraising every semester. My wife and I both belonged to fraternities that were mixed gender and focused on fundraising, community, volunteering, and creating a network with each other. There were parties too, but they were low-key compared to other fraternities. Greek life can be one way to find community and a way to give back, if you want it to be. It can also be the insane party that you've seen on movies. Both of my alma maters were notorious party schools and had the Greek life culture from movies in spades. Either way you want it, there's a student org for it, and I highly recommend checking out your college's student org database. Your college best friend could be one meetup away. Intramural sports is also a fantastic way to make friends in college. Intramural sports are different from student club sports because club sports tend to be more competitive, and sports clubs will travel and compete against other schools. Intramural sport leagues are very beginner-friendly and have a ton of newbies, and they only compete against members in the intramural sport leagues in your school. So if you're interested in a sport, but you're intimidated because you've never tried it out, this is a great place to learn and to make friends. Rock climbing, pickleball, and spikeball have been especially popular recently. There are often video game leagues at your college's intramural org too. So if you want some friendly competition against local gamers, check those out. You can usually find a list of available sports by searching for your college plus intramural sports. Joining an intramural sport league might come with a flat rate for the semester, but it's usually small, like $30. It doesn't limit you to a single sport. You can play any intramural sport once you've paid the fee, as long as your college offers it. And if it doesn't, again, maybe that's something you can set up yourself. A campus job is another great way to make friends. I worked during my whole college and grad school experience. Mostly because I had to so that I could buy food and eat, but also because campus work is a great gig. Your managers are usually university staff, and they understand your scheduling as a student. There's usually a lot of downtime you can use to study or finish up work, and you get paid while you do it since you're on the clock. The job usually lets out with winter and summer breaks and hires you back when the semester starts, so you don't even have to miss out on your long breaks if you don't want to. You can also often find research work just for the summer session if you'd like. I usually worked through the summer, but I took a couple weeks off at the end of the semester so that I could catch a breather. Campus work is nice for making friends because schedules are set up after the classes are decided. So you usually end up scheduled with a lot of familiar faces through your semester work. And since you have similar schedules, it's easy to hang out with each other. There's also something to be said about the shared misery that creates a special work bond with your coworkers. Some examples of the most common campus student positions are lab assistants, campus tutors, research assistants, library staff, network support, or social media assistants. Every department in your college hires student workers, usually every semester, so there's always something interesting being posted. My wife and I have both posted student jobs for our respective departments numerous times, and her postings are for science outreach, so they're especially fun. She's hired student illustrators to design collectible microbes, puzzle makers to help test escape rooms, and program ambassadors to meet with sponsors and to help fundraise. Campus work is a great opportunity to explore a job field in a low-stakes environment and to make friends with other students. If you want more help finding community and student support, or if you want study buddies so you're not doing it all alone, consider joining my Discord, Wolfpack Academy. Use the exclusive podcast promo code WOLFPACK to get a 30-day free trial. You can find a link to the Discord on my website, wolfpackacademics.com. Now, on to the rapid brain maturation. I'm going to briefly talk about the study titled Effects of the COVID-19 Pandemic on Mental Health and Brain Maturation in Adolescents, funded by the National Institute of Mental Health. This study consisted of teens between 13 and 17 who were already taking part in a different brain mapping study right before the pandemic hit. Half were assessed before the COVID-19 pandemic, and the other half were assessed after stay-at-home shutdown orders were issued. The two groups differed significantly in both their mental health and brain development. Compared to the pre-pandemic group, adolescents assessed after the pandemic shutdowns reported more symptoms of anxiety and depression and greater internalizing problems. Their brains showed thinning of the cortex and reduced volume in the hippocampus and the amygdala, all of which occur under large amounts of stress, and especially so when there is not some kind of stress relief outlet for the individual. The most important takeaway from the study was the discovery that the pandemic had physically aged their brains. The heightened progression of brain development was shockingly high in teen girls especially, with their brain development progressing 5.7 years faster than developmental norms. In teen boys, their development progressed 1.7 years faster. These results suggest the lack of in-person socializing and community camaraderie led to high levels of stress with no outlet, and that girls especially rely on group socializing to de-stress. As the teens and young adults in the study began meeting up and socializing again post-lockdowns, the brain aging and development slowed to normal levels. It's necessary to remember the importance of community and socializing when it comes to our day-to-day lives, and especially so when we are in school. We know that a sense of community and a lack of isolation increases our ability to remember and recall, and our academic performance as a whole. And now we understand that going without for too long further increases our stress, which also further decreases our ability to learn. It's important we mitigate this by building community in our life, which means we need to be open to friendships. That means becoming regulars so we have a chance to find others, and it means we have to be willing to approach strangers or to be approached by them. I will have a link to the paper discussed above, available in the description of this episode. The paper is titled, Effects of the COVID-19 Pandemic on Mental Health and Brain Maturation in Adolescents. I'm also accepting student questions to answer on my podcast. You can find the submission form on my website, wolfpackacademics.com, at the very bottom of the page. That's it for this episode.